welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you have had a fantastic week and I hope you're all looking forward to an amazing weekend. Welcome Fong. Hi Domenico. Welcome Andrew. Nice to see many of our members here and ready to learn, and learn we shall. We are looking at an IELTS Task 2 today, writing about children and sports. Of course, it's a very common theme across the world as we grow and mature. Children have the fantastic experience of participating in sports, and that's what we will target today for discussion, learning vocabulary, and providing a structured and high band level part 2 essay. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. This is a members chat class. Everybody's welcome to watch. If you'd like to join the chat in this class, you need to become a channel member, and you can do that by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. This is our academic IELTS website here. It is the support material for these live classes. It has all of our practice exams, videos, audio materials. You just click that big red button that's right above my head there to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. It doesn't cost very much, and it will definitely help you on your journey to get those higher band scores. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS test registration center. I'm a certified British Council agent, so you're in great hands with us. Welcome Carolina, our chat moderator. Hi Romelia, Lamia. Nice to see more of you joining in. Students, when you click that big red button, you can use the discount code WRA9 to get an additional 10% discount. The price is different in different countries depending on your local economy currency, so check that out. And for general IELTS students, for general IELTS Task 1 reading, definitely check out gieltshelp.com. It's this website here, and you can click this big red button there to join our premium IELTS package. Again, it's a one-time payment for lifetime access, so you're in great hands there. Students, we have apps for you as well. From your app stores, you can download our app, Academic IELTS Help or General IELTS Help, and you can follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp, GIELTS Help. In fact, we just put a new reel up on Instagram, I think for speaking, but we're always putting up new reels with vocabulary, speaking, and so forth. If you still have questions at the end of the day, send us an email. Adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com will get answers to your questions if they're not answered in these live classes. And for those of you who want to just hold on to those physical books and study from a paperback book, you can get our books from Amazon. Search for AE Helps Academic IELTS or GE Helps General IELTS. Students, today we've got writing, task 2 right now, and then we have listening, part 3 and part 4, continuing from last week's listening exam, again using our websites. That's a subscribers class coming up after this one, so to join the chat you need to subscribe. It's a really good idea to subscribe to our channel. It's absolutely free. You get lots of good content, and you get the weekly schedules for these live classes. Tomorrow, speaking part 2, speaking part 3 for everybody, and on Sunday we have a Discord session. For that, you need to sign up on Discord. We're partnered with IELTS Prep. Use the Discord app for that. If you don't know it, you're probably not a gamer. No, it's originally designed for gamers, but it's a great app. It's a group of students called IELTS Prep. There's about 10,000 IELTS students gathered there. It's free learning. It's a really good interaction. You get chances to speak and practice your English, so it's a good place for IELTS. There we go. All right, OBS seems to be having a bit of a hiccup. It's telling me, so it's fine. Okay, everyone. So IELTS task 2. Let's get cracking. The IELTS writing section for both the general and the academic versions of the test is 1 hour in length. And you have about 20 minutes for task 1, 40 minutes for task 2. Now, there is no time limit per task. The time limit is for the entire writing section. However, your task 2 is worth twice the amount as task 1, and task 2 requires a bit more thinking and planning. So that's why IELTS, and myself included, recommend that you spend 40 minutes on task 2 and 20 minutes on task 1. Now, these are two different types of essays. So your task 1 in the academic IELTS is an expository essay. That means the goal of task 1 is to expose, explain information regarding a graph or a chart or a map. Task 2, on the other hand, is a persuasive essay. That means that your goal is to convince, to persuade your reader about certain ideas. And there are lots of different types of questions within this category of persuasive essays that you can be asked. So pay really careful attention to the question. And so your step 1, your very first step, should always be to just read the question really carefully and paraphrase it. Okay, so step 1, read the question carefully. Don't rush. It's very likely that you just finished the reading section and you might have been rushing by the time you got to the end of the reading section. Just remember that, you know, when you're in the writing section and you're reading task 1, task 2 questions, you slow down and you really pay attention. Okay, so read the question carefully and paraphrase it for clarity and insight. Okay, that means you make sure you understand it when you paraphrase it and you get some good ideas of what's going on. Okay. Okay, so all right. Looks like OBS is having a bit of an issue, and I'll be honest with everybody. OBS did tell me. OBS is... Yeah, let me see something here. OBS seems to be having a little issue here. I might have to do a quick update. Okay, we'll see. All right, we'll see if it keeps doing that. All right, then I'll do a quick update. It shouldn't take long, even if I have to do it. But let's see if it cooperates for this class, and then I'll do it before the next one, before the listening class. Okay. All right. So here we go. Some parents encourage their children to try many sports while growing up, but other parents motivate their children to focus on one sport only. Discuss the reasons for both and give your opinion opinion. Okay, let's paraphrase this. So let's use our own words to state this question, and then also start to get some deeper insight. So I'm going to paraphrase. You do this. Okay. All right. Okay, everybody. Should be good now. Let me know if you're still experiencing any issues on your end. Otherwise, we'll get going on the lesson, or we'll continue on. And hopefully everybody was using this time to paraphrase the question for the task 2, right? Okay. All right, hopefully that update did the trick. We'll see. Okay. All right, so here we go. Again, let's just quickly refresh and read the task 2 question. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Some parents encourage their children to try many sports while growing up, but other parents motivate their children to focus on one sport only. Discuss the reasons for both and give your own opinion. Meanwhile, I saw Sarah and Sunantha have joined in. Welcome. Okay, here I go. So I'm going to paraphrase this. You do the same, and then we will compare. Okay? So all right, there's my first little bit. So some parents encourage their children to try many sports. Certain caregivers push their kids to try a variety of athletic activities as they mature. However, other guardians. Now, caregivers and guardians, it's okay to paraphrase parents, but you should know that caregivers and guardians are not necessarily parents. So keep that in mind, okay? However, other guardians, I don't want to say push again, so push, encourage, motivate. Well, we'll use motivate again here. I don't want to get stuck on thinking for a fourth synonym too much. Motivate their kids to stay with one sport throughout childhood. Explain the logic behind both of these and provide your own perspective. Now, especially when you're at home doing this, make sure to read the original and read your paraphrase after. Make sure it makes sense. It should be grammatically okay. Some parents encourage their children to try many sports while growing up, but other parents motivate their children to focus on one sport only. Discuss the reasons for both and give your own opinion. Okay. Certain caregivers push their kids to try a variety of athletic activities as they mature. However, other guardians motivate their kids to stay with one sport throughout childhood. Explain the logic behind both of these and provide your own perspective. All right. This is what Romelia wrote for us. Romelia says, we could paraphrase it this way too. While some parents may promote the exploration of various sports to their children, others may advocate for a focus on a single sport. Really nice paraphrasing, Romelia. Thumbs up. I like it. All right. And of course, in the real IELTS, pay attention to the actual question as well, which says discuss both and give your own perspective, because your essay will have to do just that. Okay. All right, this is Rajveer. Rajveer, our longest time member, says certain mothers and fathers motivate their kids to participate in multiple sports during their upbringing, whereas other parents encourage their children to concentrate on one sport only. It's another, I think, Ramili and Rajveer, I think you paraphrased better than I did. I like it. I like it. So yes, parents are moms and dads or fathers and mothers, and multiple sports or various sports is very good for the first element, and then encouraging their children to concentrate on one sport only or a single sport. It's fantastic. Okay. And then Rajveer says, explain the causes for both and state your position. Domenico, let's take a couple more. Paraphrasing is really important. You want to do a good job here. You want to set a strong foundation for your thoughts and your writing. Domenico writes, some parents try to encourage their children to take part in multiple sports during their developing years, while others motivate their children to stay focused on one sport only throughout childhood. Another really good one, Domenico. Fuang. Getting good at this, everyone. I'm happy to see it. It makes me smile. Sets me in a good mood for the weekend. Thank you for that. All right, Fuang. Certain guardians put a motivation. Fuang, is a little bit awkward. You just want to say motivate in this case. Motivate their kids. Careful, Fuang, not to overcomplicate prepositions like on, because it gets to be a bit awkward. Motivate their kids to try a plethora of sports. Now, yeah, this is a good place to use the word plethora. It's a good one, okay? Plethora of sports while they mature. So again, Fuang, just pay attention to that concise language. While they mature, okay, mature is a verb, Fuang, while they mature. However, other mums and dads, Fuang, mums is with an O. M-U-M is a different word. Okay, M-U-M is silence. Mom, M-O-M. Moms and dads inspire their offspring to pay more attention to one physical activity only. All right, now it's better. So simplify, Fuang. Okay. Asha, let's take one more. All right. Now, Asha, sometimes the word some means few, but not always. In this case, writing a few is actually a bit strange. So you don't want to paraphrase some by saying few. Just say certain. Certain parents. Okay. In this case, some actually means certain more than it means few. I know that's kind of weird, but it is what it is. So certain parents inspire their children to participate in games, in different games while they are young. Early age is okay. While they're young. However, other parents urge their young. Oh, there we go. There's a nice word for motivate. Urge. Yes, very nice. I like that vocabulary, Asha. Urge their young ones to concentrate on only one sport. Good. All right. I'm sure we have clarity now. We've looked at a few different ways to paraphrase that question, and we can get going now on the next step. The next step, what is the next step? So what should I do next, students? So what's the next step? What's step 2? It's very important for everybody to know this for the IELTS and for university as well. Whenever you get going on a piece of writing, I want you to tell me, members, what is step 2, and then I will let you know if I agree with it or not. So I read the question, I paraphrase it, I understand it, I figure out some vocabulary through the paraphrasing. Sarah says, identify the controlling idea. Yeah, exactly. So Sarah, not just the controlling idea, but as Fuang is saying, we want the topic and the controlling idea. The topic is extremely important too. Always first topic, then controlling idea. So identify the topic and the controlling idea. Don't assume that you know what it is. So don't be like, oh, it's just clear that this is what it is. It's not always as obvious as you think. So be very careful with that. And then Romelia, only after that should you do some brainstorming. The reason I say this is because oftentimes IELTS candidates will actually write completely off-topic ideas because they don't identify the topic and the controlling idea. Or they start by brainstorming and thinking about the right ideas, and then they go off topic as soon as they get into the body paragraphs. So the topic is what we're talking about, right? So what are we actually talking about? So what is the main idea of discussion, right? That's the question that the topic answers. So here, what are we talking about? So what do you think is the topic? What are we specifically discussing with our audience? Harpreet says sports, but are we discussing sports in general? Romelia says one sport or more. Asha says sport. Rajveer says children's participation in sports. Absolutely, Rajveer. You're right. So Rajveer has the best answer. Rajveer says what we're talking about here is we're talking about children's participation in sports. That's the clear answer. And this is the other reason why the topic is, you have to really clearly identify it, because even though we might think we know what the topic is, we often don't identify it clearly. Does everybody agree with Rajveer and myself? And I think Raquea, you're kind of on the same page. Raquea wrote sports in early childhood. So that's what Raquea wrote, and I think that's another way to look at it, Raquea. I would agree that that's fairly close as well. So sports in early childhood, or not even early, Raquea, because the question doesn't say that, but sports during childhood, right? That could be another one. I mean, that's basically a synonym for children's participation in sports, right? All right, we've got some thumbs up, right? So notice how that wasn't quite as obvious at first glance. Not everybody was perfectly aligned with the right topic here. So some of you were thinking sports. If you write an essay on the IELTS that discusses sports more than children's participation in sports, then you're already off track to get the highest band scores, right? Okay, and then the controlling idea. Once you have the topic, the controlling idea is a bit better. So controlling idea. What are the controlling idea or the controlling ideas here? Okay. A really good exercise, by the way, to do in your IELTS class with your teachers or with fellow students is just to look at 5-6 different task 2 questions, and don't worry about writing the essay, but just focus on identifying the topic, the controlling idea, and then discussing this in a group with each other, explaining what it is, what is the topic, controlling idea, and why you might have some differences in those, okay? So controlling idea here, what is it? And whenever you're doing this, you should always be looking at the original question, not your paraphrase. So here we're looking at the original question. Andrew Foxwell says, should kids be engaged in one sport or several sports? I think that's okay. Raquea says different sports versus one sport. I think that's okay too. Rajveer says children's participation in multiple sports versus participation in one sports only. Yes, that's okay as well. Fuang says parents must encourage their child to play a variety of sports or not. Okay. Let's take a look at the original question. Let's see if you take a kind of a different approach to this, right? So here's the original question. Some parents encourage their children to try many sports while growing up, but other parents motivate their children to focus on one sport only. Discuss the reasons for both and give your own opinion. Okay, I still don't. So I think Fuang has the closest understanding, but I don't see the perfect controlling idea or controlling ideas just yet. Okay. Break it down, right? So if we look at the original question, we can break it down. We can say this: the reason for some parents to encourage multiple sports for their children. And then we can literally take that, right, to say the reason for some parents to encourage a single sport. So I think, the danger here, and you might agree with me on this, with this question, is that a lot of candidates might start focusing on the children. Like they'll talk about the children does this, the children does that, right? But interestingly, it's actually the parents that we're concerned about here in this case as well. So it says some parents, and remember, in English, the sentence structure is subject, verb, object. So the subject here are the parents, right? And we're interested in the parents' motivation for this. So why do the parents do this? Not so much the actual effect that it might have on kids. So this is a situation where a lot of writers might fall in this trap of like focusing on the child and the effects of playing one sport versus lots of sports on the child. And sure, that's related to the parents, but it's not exact. Do you get what I'm saying? So does everybody, are you picking up the concept here? So controlling ideas is parents' reasons for either encouraging one sport or multiple sports. All right. And I mean, if you're a parent, if you have children and you have children in sports, then it's kind of easier to understand this because you have more empathy with the question, right? But if not, then you have to be very careful when you identify this. Do you see what I'm talking about? So the topic is children's participation in sports. That's what we're talking about. But the controlling idea that we're talking about is parents' reasons for encouraging either one sport or multiple sports. Yeah, so exactly. Rodriguez says, yes, the angle is to discuss this from the parents' side of the situation, not the children's side of the situation. Exactly. Raquea says, yes, I got it, right? Okay. All right, now that we have clarity on the question, we can get going on this, okay? So we think critically, right? So what is children's participation in sports? Okay, so that's the first question we ask. So here we can say, okay, a youth between age 6 to 18, 17, 16. So for us to define a youth between the age of 6 to 16 attends an athletic activity regularly in a structured sports club. Okay, because I think for me, going outside and kicking a soccer ball in my world is not necessarily participation in sports. So here I think it's the focus in my mind is more on, being a member of an official sports club with professional trainers, coaches, and so on, right? Why should children participate in sports? So why do children do this? Okay. I'm going to keep it really simple for now. My thoughts are going to evolve as I'm planning, right? So I'm writing this down in the real exam. This is all happening in your head. You might jot down a couple of notes on your note paper from your ideas that are coming into your mind. You wouldn't, in real exam, you wouldn't write, why do children do this? At home you should, but not in the real exam. In the real exam, just write why if you really want to write down the question. To develop both mentally and physically. Right? So it's mental, physical development. And potentially for prosperity. Okay? And potentially for fame and fortune, right? So for being recognized and to make a lot of money. So those are all. And then how? So how do kids do this? Okay, how is this achieved? Parents pay a tuition for a sports club, buy sports equipment, and send kids to sports classes regularly. Such as soccer practice, football practice, right? For those of you who like the word football instead. In the US, it'll get confusing, but most of the world thinks football, soccer, same thing. Okay, such as soccer, football practice twice a week for an hour, right? And one game on the weekends. Okay. All right. So the how is kind of like the example, and you should be thinking about this. Okay. So I like how Rakwea is writing all the time. Rakwea, I love it. I love how you're always engaging your fingers and you're typing out your ideas. Rakwea says, because they are interested in sports or motivated by parents, because it is useful for their mental health as well as their physical health. Absolutely. So you've got those gears turning, Rakwea. You're thinking. That's great. Okay. And then we go through the what, why, how of the one sport versus many sports, right? So what is it for parents to encourage many sports versus one sport? Okay. So obviously it means that parents sign their children up for individual and team sports, or just one sport. Okay, fine. That part's the easy part, right? Individual sports would be like swimming, running. Team sports would be like basketball or football, soccer, as we just discussed. Now, the reason, so why, right? Why do some parents, and this is, of course, where, a lot of you are like, let's just jump to this. Question. Yes, you might be able to save some time jumping to this question, but you might also not have an essay that is quite as good. So why do some parents decide to urge, I like that word, Asha, to urge their children to try multiple sports? Okay, so let's get some reasons for this. I'm going to write down some of the ideas that I think, encourage that. I do it with my children. My older daughter plays baseball. She's in gymnastics. She's in swimming. So she's doing lots of different sports, and she's only 6.5. So I have a good idea of why I do it, but I do hope that she kind of picks one sport soon and then really stays with that sport for her entire childhood. And so I have reasons for those, and I know my reasons. Let's see if you kind of come up with some good reasons as well. Okay. So Domenico says multiple sports so that children develop well-rounded set of skills. Okay, sure. Well-rounded. I like that, Domenico. So well-rounded set of skills. Yeah, so for example, Domenico, like team sports teaches teamwork, right? And individual sports encourages self-confidence, right? So in some ways. So well-rounded set of skills. Okay. Yep, so that they have the availability of choice, the opportunity to choose favorites. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mal, that will be the single sport, right? I think we're getting to that. Mal, I read that, and that was a very smart idea. And I think that is a really good point for the next one, the why some parents urge children to stay with one single sport. Okay, good. So, and in the IELTS, you don't need to overthink it. So if you have these two ideas, like well-rounded set of skills and opportunity to choose their favorite sport, sure. And then here we can, give an example, right? So how? By playing tennis, swimming, playing basketball, and choosing a favorite, right? Okay, and then the next question, and Mal, here is your time to shine. So why do some parents encourage their children to focus on one sport? Okay, and I think what Mal wrote is very much true. So to live vicariously through their children to realize their own dreams. Yes, that is, and it's a very common situation, right? Where mom or dad did a sport when they were young, they really liked it, and they maybe became world famous or quite good at it, maybe not, but they really want their children to do the same and to be even better and to be superstars, right? Okay, because they want their kids to master one sport. They might want their kids to, be so good at that sport that they can gain benefits in life, right? So yeah, to gain benefits. How? So, some of you might be thinking lots and lots of money, but even before that, for example, scholarships, right? Outstanding physical ability and dedication, right? That's another reason. So there are good reasons why some parents really want their kids to master one sport. Arguably, when children focus on one sport, they have a better chance of becoming a super athlete, so being physically very fit. And also, children who focus on one sport tend to develop a very kind of focused way of thinking, a very dedicated way of thinking, very persuasive attitude. Okay. All right. So those are some good ideas. And I think now we're able to come up with a thesis statement. Okay. Thesis statement, for many of you watching that are not sure what that is, you need to know what a thesis statement is for the IELTS exam. You need to be able to write a good thesis statement. I say it every time, and I will say it every time. If you write thesis statements like this essay will discuss, I honestly think that a lot of times students are sitting in a class and their teacher tells them to write something like this essay will discuss the reasons why some parents encourage their children to try many sports while other parents push their kids for one sport only. So here, this is just a kind of a repeat, right, of the question, but this is a thesis. It's a very weak form of a thesis, and I think that a lot of teachers actually tell their IELTS students to write this kind of a thesis statement, and they don't even tell the students that they're writing a thesis statement. So, you know, they don't even know that this is a thesis. That's a thesis statement. It's just a weak thesis statement. And I sure hope that most IELTS trainers out there know what a thesis statement is and how it works and so on. Okay. Yeah, Andrew says, I've seen too many teachers claiming templates. These are the best. Yeah, and then you have your mind blown emoji. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, if you actually take a writing class from a proper professor in English literature, Andrew, then very quickly you learn that you have the thesis statement. The thesis statement is the position of the author. It's your points for argument in your persuasive essay in this case. And there are many ways to write a thesis statement, and this kind of template thesis statement is definitely not an effective thesis statement. A thesis statement in the real world, everyone, and I know some of you know this, you've been with me for a while like Rajveer, but a thesis statement should be interesting, it should be clear, it should capture your reader, it should encourage your reader to want to read your essay, right? So a good thesis or a great thesis, right? Good writing, like actual good essays in the real world and on the IELTS, have a great thesis. And a great thesis clearly tells the reader the ideas of the author and encourages, motivates, inspires the reader to discover the mind of the author. Okay? And I don't think it's fair to underestimate the ability of IELTS students to create a great thesis. I think it's I don't know if I want to use the word sad, but it's negligent to tell IELTS candidates to write a template like this essay we'll discuss. Okay. All right. So let's do this. So let's write a good thesis statement. So students, write a thesis statement based on our planning, okay? Again, jumping back to the question here. All right, the original question is, some parents encourage their children to try many sports while growing up, but other parents motivate their children to focus on one sport only. Discuss the reasons for both and give your own opinion. Okay. Thesis statement here, all right? Good high bands, need good writing, okay? So we've got the why questions here. So why do some parents urge their children to try multiple sports? So that their children have a well-rounded set of skills. As Domenico said, I agree 100%. And they have the availability to choose their favorite sport that they really enjoy, right? Okay, and then why do some parents encourage children to focus on one sport? Because they want to live vicariously through their children, and they want their children to master a single sport so that they can reap the benefits, okay? So let's make a thesis statement from these ideas. That means taking these ideas, pushing them together into a more concise, condensed form with parallel grammar, okay? Now, the trick here, okay, keep this in mind, because the question says your own perspective, right? Is think about the side that you don't agree with first. So focus on the side you do not agree with first in your thesis first, and then the side you agree with second. Okay? All right, so I'm going to focus on, for me, I'm going to say multiple sports. As I just mentioned to you, my child is in multiple sports. So I kind of believe that giving kids the chance to try many sports is probably better than a single sport. You might disagree with me, so you might write a fairly different kind of essay here, but I'm going to go with this one for the example of the class, okay? So okay, so although some parents push their children to focus on one sport so they can master it and gain fame and fortune, I believe in encouraging offspring to try a variety of sports so that they can enjoy athletics and develop well-rounded skills for life. Well-rounded skills. There. Okay, long enough. So, although some parents push their children to focus on one sport so they can master it and gain fame and fortune, I believe in encouraging offspring to try a variety of sports so they can enjoy athletics and develop well-rounded skills. Okay. And develop skills. Better parallel grammar, okay? I can explain the well-rounded part later on. All right, Romelia, let's see what you have here. So Romelia has a thesis statement for us, and I'm looking for these thesis statements. It can be absolutely different than mine or read differently. All right, Romelia writes, some parents may encourage their children to try many sports while growing up to explore their interests and passions, and other parents may motivate their children to focus on one sport only and open up opportunities for scholarships and professional careers. Finding a balance between the two approaches can help children develop their skills and interests in the best way possible. Okay, Romelia, interesting. Okay, first of all, very good writing. Okay. So this would be my opinion as an IELTS examiner of your thesis statement, okay? So this is a great thesis, but it may be too complex for a 40-minute essay on the IELTS, okay? So my advice to you here, Romelia, is careful with your time limit. This you would have to be able to write quickly for. So Romelia, if you have good spelling, good grammar, and you're able to type quickly or write quickly, then fine, you can do it. But note that here you're probably writing a 3-paragraph essay, so it's going to be 5 paragraphs. You're going to have 1 paragraph about playing multiple sports, 1 paragraph about focusing on a single sport, and then another paragraph that's your opinion where there's a balance between the two of these, and then the conclusion. So it's not an impossible essay, but it's a challenging essay in the 40-minute time limit. So I encourage you to try it, Romelia, but do know that it's a challenging essay based on this thesis, and you're going to be writing at least 350 words for this essay so that it's sensible and it's clear enough, okay? So that's why I kind of, like for the IELTS, I say just pick one side instead of coming up with a plan C. Okay, so yours has like plan A, plan B, and then plan C, which is the balance between the two, right? And although I completely agree with you, in the IELTS, that might be too much. You might just want to go A, B, I agree with B, right? You get it, Romelium? Okay, so the time limit, careful with that. Domenico writes, although some parents urge their children to stay focused on one sport only so they can become highly skilled and specialized in that area, I believe that encouraging children to participate in multiple sports promotes a well-rounded set of skills for life. I really like it. So Domenico, I think that's great. It's precise, it's clear, it's accurate. I have very clear insight into your mind, into the way you're going to structure this essay, and I'm curious to see what you're going to write. So it's really well written, okay? All right. Okay, Rajveer. The primary reason for parents to push their children to play solo sports are fortune and perfection, whereas the causes for focusing on multiple sports are better skills and choices. Yes, very good. Okay, very good. All right, good. Okay, you have the right idea, and we have clear direction, so we're ready to write the essay. Okay, so here we go. The essay starts with the introductory paragraph. Okay, the introductory paragraph has a hook, has background, and has a thesis, as many of you know. That is standard essay writing. It's not what I'm telling you, it's what English literature is telling you. Okay. And let's do it. So let's write the hook. So let's get going on this essay now with our remaining time in the class. So let's start with the hook. The hook is an interesting statement that includes the topic and catches the reader. Okay? So give me a hook. Okay? Give me a hook. Catch the reader, right? Remember what the topic is. So it's children's participation in sports. Okay, think about that. Here we have it right there. We're talking about children's participation in sports. Okay? So write that into the topic. Here we go, into the hook. So I'm going to write a hook, and then you do the same. So most parents have a strong desire to okay, it's fine. There's many ways. Now, if I were writing an essay for university, I would probably spend a few minutes thinking about a great hook. But for the IELTS exam, it doesn't have to be spectacular. You can get a band 9 with just a good, decent hook, okay? Most parents have a strong desire to encourage their children to play sports. Sure. This means that, so I'm going to give the background now, okay? Do a bit of writing with me, members. Okay, so what does that mean? So what does it mean that most parents have a strong desire to encourage their children to play sports, okay? So this means that millions of mums and dads around the world will spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to enroll and take their offspring to athletic clubs from the age of 2 to 18. Okay? All right, so I'm giving the definition, and this is just coming from my planning, all right? And then I keep reading it. So most parents have a strong desire to encourage their children to play sports. This means that millions of moms and dads around the world spend thousands, let's take that will out, spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to enroll and take their offsprings to athletic clubs from the age of 2 to 16 in a variety of activities. But I'm not going to say that because some, of course, just one sport. And then I'm going to take my thesis and just drop it in. Okay, so thesis statement. And I drop it in. And now I have my Band 9 introduction. And then I review it one more time. Okay. So most parents have a strong desire to encourage their children to play sports. This means that millions of moms and dads around the world spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to enroll and take their offsprings to athletic clubs from the age of 2 to 18. Although some parents push their children to focus on one sport so they can master it and gain fame and fortune, I believe in encouraging offspring to try a variety of sports so they can enjoy athletics and develop skills. Okay, good. I'm happy with that. All right. Sunantha writes, some parents push their children to focus on one sport for the skills to become an expert in a specific field. However, I believe in multiple sports to provide more experience so kids can choose their favorite. Okay, Sunantha, good ideas. You need to pay a bit more attention to grammar and word choice, right? Okay, Helen says parents love to see their children doing well in the sports industry. Helen, not bad. I would just take out the word industry. I think that's a bit awkward, but I like Helen's hook. So Helen's hook should read like this. Okay. Should read like this, Helen. Parents love to see their children do well in sports. Yeah, I like that hook, Helen. I think that's a good way to approach it. Okay. Fuang writes, most parents encourage their offspring to attend physical activities these days. It's not bad, Fuang. It's a little bit simple, and physical activities, not necessarily sports, so definitely use the word sport in the hook. Okay. Rajveer says, parents want their children to indulge in sports for their holistic development. Nice, Rajveer. Nice. Good use of the word holistic. Holistic development. Holistic is like well-rounded. It's another way to say well-rounded. I'm not sure, Rajveer, if you checked into the well-rounded or used a thesaurus there, but that's great. All right. Andrew says, an increasing number of families are beginning to see the value of sending their kids to sports clubs. Okay, Andrew, a little bit more concise. Is it though, Andrew? Is it an increasing number of families? I think it's a little bit awkward. I think the concept of having kids in sports has always been kind of around. So make sure that, you know, you have a good, solid idea. I think you could maybe come up with a little bit of a better idea for that, Andrew. That's just my personal opinion. On the IELTS, it's fine. Okay. All right. So here I have the hook, the background, and the thesis all together. All right. Again, most parents have a strong desire to encourage their children to play sports. And it's true, right? I mean, some parents don't. Some parents, you know, think music, focusing on studying, not too much sports, but most parents do. This means that millions of moms and dads, so look at those numbers, right? Breaking it down, millions of moms and dads, right? Now we picture all these moms and dads running around, spending thousands of dollars. They sure do. Sports are expensive, especially throughout the lifetime, with everything considered, I think, anywhere you are in the world. So I would imagine that in India, to play cricket, all of the gear and the tuition and the travel fees probably adds up. Same thing for hockey in Canada, very expensive. Same thing for tennis in Argentina. Okay, so this means that millions of moms and dads around the world spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to enroll and take their offspring to athletic clubs from the age of 2 to 18. So we create this picture in the reader's mind. Okay. Good writing, students, good essays, create imagery, create pictures for your reader. It's if your reader feels like they're in the cloud, especially when you're talking about an idea that's quite physical, like playing sports, if your reader stays in the cloud of ideas, then it's not necessarily a good piece of writing. Okay? Good writing is tactile. We can touch it. We can feel it. It's sensory. We can smell it. We can hear it. We can taste it. Okay? So there's a whole area of writing skills called sensory writing. So writing so that your reader can feel what you're writing. Okay? Getting high band scores in the IELTS exam does mean that you're able to produce that kind of writing. That's why a lot of people get shocked. They use those templates and then they just get really low band scores. Okay? Remember, you're showing your English skills for university, not for high school or middle school. Okay? And writing is a big part of the school system in the US, in Canada, and so on. So you have to write well. All right? Andrew says, isn't a little bit too early for sports? I don't know. It could be, Andrew. I mean, a lot of kids here do start some kind of sport at the age of 2, 3 in Canada anyway. So I just decided to go with 2, but it doesn't, I mean, you could do 5. It's up to you. It's an arbitrary number in this case. So here we go. Although some parents push their children to focus on one sport so they can master it and gain fame and fortune, I believe in encouraging offspring to try a variety of sports so they can enjoy athletics and develop skills. Okay, so now I'm into body paragraph 1. Right? Body paragraph 1. Now in body paragraph 1, I'm going to develop my first point. My first point here is to encourage children for one sport. Okay, so I need a topic sentence. I need an explanation, an example, and a connection. Okay, so my topic sentence is a single sport for fame and fortune. And that's what I need to explain in my topic sentence in more detail. Okay? Okay. So there are those parents who wish for their children to become professional athletes in a single sport and earn scholarships, often because it is the childhood dream, the unachieved, the unattained childhood dream of either the father or the mother. Okay, so there is my topic sentence. Now again, there are so many different ways to write the topic sentence. You don't have to have the same vocabulary as me or even necessarily the exact same idea. It's just important that you're able to take your first thesis point and then define it further with your own ideas in that topic sentence. Okay, so there are those parents who wish for their children to become professional athletes in a single sport and earn scholarships because often it is the unattained childhood dream of either the father or the mother. And then the explanation. Okay, so indeed, some parents want to live vicariously through the sports through the sport of their children, playing a single sport, and becoming the best among their peers. Okay. All right. So I'm giving a bit of explanation here. And while I'm doing this, so while I'm writing this body paragraph, I want to see what the members are doing. I don't want to take over the authorship here completely. Let's see what some of you are writing. Okay, I see Domenico Sananta. You've given the hook there. That's fine. Romelia says, many parents extol the virtues of propping their children to practice a sport. Nice use of vocabulary, Romelia. Get a bit deeper in the topic sentence. I'm not sure if that's your hook still, Romelia, but it works well for a hook. Okay. Sarah says, some sports are best to practice in early ages, especially dance, which requires a child to be stretchy and smooth. Not stretchy, Sarah, it's flexible. That requires flexibility, and I don't know if it's smooth, finesse. Okay, so Sarah, the words you're looking for there are flexibility and finesse. Okay, flexibility and finesse. All right, Raquea, indeed some parents want to live vicariously through the sport of their children, playing a single sport and becoming the best among their peers. Yes, okay. Domenico says there are some parents that believe in motivating their children to pursue one sport so they can become professionals in that single area, which is beneficial for success in the long run. Romelia writes, by dedicating all of their time and energy to one sport, children can become highly skilled and competitive in that specific field. Consequently, some parents may motivate their children to focus on one sport because they believe it gives them a better chance at success. I like it, Romelia. That's a really nice explanation. Okay. All right. So there are those parents who wish their children to become professional athletes in a single sport and earn scholarships, often because it is the unattained childhood dream of either the father or mother. Indeed, some parents want to live vicariously through their children, playing a single sport and becoming the best among their peers. All right. And now we want an example. Okay, so with the example, you want to be specific, right? So many fathers who desired to become professional footballers take their sons to only play football and discourage any other sport participation, right? And it's true. I mean, you know, we can't deny it. I'm sure there are lots of dads in many parts of the world who, you know, say you're going to play football and that's all you're doing. This is the football. I'm not going to encourage you to try ballet, or not going to encourage you to try archery, right? Right? Many fathers who desired to become professional footballers take their sons to only play football and discourage any other sport participation. This may eventually produce another Messi or Ronaldo, but I am not in favor of this parenting philosophy. Okay, so this is the connecting concluding sentence to this paragraph, okay? Now that I've read this, or now that I've written or authored this paragraph, I want to read it and make sure that it makes sense. All right, so there are those parents who wish for their children to become professional athletes in a single sport and earn scholarships. I don't like that part. So, and become world famous. I'm going to write that instead. And then comma, often because it is the unattained childhood dream of either the father or the mother. I think that reads better now. This is why we always review our paragraphs. So there are those parents who wish for their children to become professional athletes in a single sport and become world famous. Still, right? Children to become world famous professional athletes. You can always improve writing. So there are those parents who wish for their children to become world famous professional athletes. Now I don't need the comma. Often because it is the unattained childhood dream of either the father or the mother. Indeed, some parents want to live vicariously through their children playing a single sport and becoming the best among their peers. Many fathers who desired to be professional footballers take their sons to only play football and discourage any other sport participation. This may eventually produce another Messi or Ronaldo, but I am not in favor of this parenting philosophy. Okay, and then comes my second body paragraph, right? The side that I am in favor of. Okay, so body paragraph 2, which is multiple sports. If you can touch type, and definitely learning to touch type is a very valuable skill, then I do encourage you to take the computer-based IELTS exam. The writing section is a bit easier in the sense that it's easier to make corrections, to make your writing look clean. With pencil or pen on paper, just be careful with the way that you correct your mistakes or change your sentences, like what I just did. Okay. All right, Domenico writes, this approach is often taken when a child shows a particular aptitude for a specific sport, and therefore parents want to nurture and develop this talent. Yes, Domenico, that's very good. So you're taking kind of a different idea to this situation, and you're saying, hey, okay, single sports isn't necessarily because parents want to live vicariously through their children, but it could also be that parents recognize that their child just falls in love with a sport early on and they want to nurture that sport. So, maybe somebody falls in love with dancing, with becoming a ballet dancer at a very young age, and the parents just say, okay, go with it. We're just going to really encourage you in this one sport, right? So that's another approach. Obviously, there are multiple good ideas and good reasons for this, right? So in the IELTS, your goal is just to explain it well. Okay. All right, multiple sports. Conversely, many parents provide I don't know how to spell that word, but we'll soon find out. There we go. Smorgasbord. Coming from, I think, Scandinavian, maybe Finnish language. So conversely, many parents provide a smorgasbord. Smorgasbord is the type of, it's kind of like a potluck. So it's like a type of meal or food where you have lots of different types of dishes and platters. It's called a smorgasbord. But we use that as an expression meaning a variety or many different types of flavors. Okay, so conversely, many parents provide a smorgasbord of athletic experiences for their children, hoping that one or two wins the favor of their sons and daughters so that they can gain valuable life skills playing these games. Okay. Conversely, many parents provide a smorgasbord of athletic experiences for their children, hoping that one or two win the favor of sons and daughters so that they can gain valuable life skills playing these games. Okay. Swedish. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew says smorgasbord comes from Swedish. That's right. Swedish. Okay. And then here now I need the explanation and the example. And last week, or was it the week before where I did this, I had quite a few students send us their conclusion and their body paragraph too, which was really good. It was really good learning. So I'm going to continue with that this week, where I'm going to give you that for homework. So finish body paragraph 2 and the conclusion and send it for some score estimation and feedback. Send it for a score, band score estimate, to admin@aehelp.com or to adrian@aehelp.com. Okay, either one of those will work. We're both running out of time in the class, and I want to encourage you, now that you know what you're doing, to practice on your own. Okay. All right. Lots of good writing, members, in the chat. Sarah, thank you for putting the email in there. And Carolina, you are most welcome. Okay. All right, students. We have another class coming up in 30 minutes. It's going to be listening, part 3 and part 4. We're going to use the website. It's going to be a subscribers chat class, so make sure you subscribe. That's coming up in half an hour. And we're actually going to listen to the audio. We're going to answer questions, and then we're going to go over some strategy. For everybody who watched this class, this Task 2 class, make sure you finish this essay, read it, check it, adjust it, send your whole essay to me for band score estimates, okay? And for everybody who's watching, to get access to all of our services, products, practice exams, visit our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. The general version of the website looks like this. Click on that big red button that's just above my head there, okay? And for the academic version, it's like this, and you want to click on that big red button again that's just above my head there to learn all of the right skills and the right writing techniques and writing strategies for both the IELTS and for university college work. So check it out there. Okay, members, I hope I see you back here in half an hour for the listening. There were lots of you in the class, which is fantastic to see. Both of our moderators were in the class, which is awesome to see as well. So hopefully I will see you soon. We've got the latest version of OBS going now, so we're all good. It seems like that fixed the issue for sure. All right, have a good break, everybody. See you in half an hour. I'm Adrian signing out from Victoria momentarily. Bye for now.